Boy, market's putting me in a tough spot here. Yesterday, I outlined some conditions for the light going yellow on stocks. One of them, the big one, was Nvidia under 120 bucks. The battle raged, but the bulls did lose it in Nvidia. And now the line that should have been support and was trying to act as support today ended up failing. And so now we go into inflation tomorrow with the most important company coming up possibly against resistance. Even though S&Ps were perfectly unch on the day and the numbers from Dell and Marvell look good in the afternoon, I have to begrudgingly change the light yellow because it's in a range. How else could we describe stocks over the last 8 days than being in a range? So it's hard to have a green light when we keep getting rejected. 56.30, 56.40, 56.50. It seems like there's just a brick wall there. My general framework was that inflation's not going to be as big of a catalyst anymore after Jackson Hole because Powell was so super dovish and celebratory and ready to pull the trigger. I've been under the framework that he's ready to go 50, and thus really the conversation shifting from either no cuts to some cuts down to 25 versus 50. That's not as volatile of a situation. So what if we don't get 50? That's a good thing. But now that the stock market failed on a day that had everything going for it, today should have been a monster ramp. Nvidia starting off lower, below the market maker expectation. Yes, it started down, but that was almost a perfect setup to come right to 120, to give bulls an opportunity to use that as support, to drive an intraday swing by the dip, which is usually when you get your biggest moves. To see that not extend enough to keep the stock market up near the highs and instead getting rejected again from those levels in the S&P, that puts us in a trickier spot where tomorrow's inflation print could have some potential to act as a catalyst. My also general assumption this week was that we would break out of the range for the S&P. So today when you had Nvidia numbers, which by all definitions were incredible, it was just a test of valuation and we failed it. Then that does call into question why we didn't capitalize on numbers from Best Buy, HP. There was a strong message today about the consumer ready to go and buy phones and devices are going to be powered by AI, and that is really the core theme here that the market is still moving on. And we had GDP getting a hit to 3%. That's a nice little pop. Jobless claims, innocuous. Pending home sales were rough, but we already know that. Today was a great opportunity to take all these things and put it into a big bullish cocktail to push through the resistance and to set us on a course for highs. So it's not a red light, but it's a yellow because it seems like we're definitely at the very least range bound, more range bound than I suspected we would be, and that perhaps bears are starting to stock. Keep in mind, Bitcoin faded too. BTC tried to really make a move today, pushing 4%, and then it didn't. That's why I've got the red light on crypto, because that thing is like just failure 101. Technical chart that is ugly. The other thing too is the 10-year. That to me needs some resolution tomorrow. I'm happy I've had the light yellow on bonds and the dollar because we finally got some pushback with yields moving higher, trying to get out of that descending triangle in a positive way for yields. I do think that's good. I think ultimately that's going to be constructive for the market. You don't want yields to break down, and the descending triangle says that if they don't break down, then we could go back up pretty quickly in a hurry to 4.243. Now, with inflation tomorrow, if you do get a big move in yields, maybe stocks won't like it, but we should be rooting for the Fed to only have to do 25. So that's kind of a side story, but watch tomorrow because it seems like we're just failing over and over to break out to the upside. Why wouldn't we test then the downside of the range when we had so much going for us today and we failed? Frustrating session for bulls. I'll see you tomorrow morning. PCE, don't miss it. I'll be here. Join me. Have a great night.